the Awaken Your Ego podcast with Joanne and Ariana. We are a health podcast that explores topics to do with biohacking and self-discovery.
We are also on the self-discovery journey, and we want to attract listeners that are doing the same in order to help them realize they're not alone.
Ego differs from conventional medical spas and wellness centers. We believe that the secret to maximizing one's sense of self is in addressing the entire person, inside and out. We provide state-of-the-art aesthetic treatments as well as lifestyle management and holistic health solutions. We aim to please with our efficient and friendly customer service and guarantee with our scientifically proven alternative therapies and lifestyle optimizations that every patient will leave our care with a boosted ego. Our goal is to help our patients realize the necessity of self-care and to encourage them to prioritize their health and wellness goals. When we make self-care and confidence a priority, then we're able to bring to light our potential for happiness and growth. This podcast is a way to expand our reach so that we are able to spread the word on the importance of self, the whole self, inside and out.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. Please reach out to your medical provider if you have questions about any of the treatments we discuss to see if it's a right fit for you. Now on to our show.
All right. Well, today we're so excited to have Madelyn Birchall with us. Hey, Madelyn.
Hello. Good. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us.
Yes, super excited.
We're going to jump right in it, and Joanne's going to give us a little bit of background so y'all can be introduced to Madelyn.
So Madelyn is a life, mindset, and soul coach known for her expertise in the areas of public speaking, one-on-one coaching, and private team and corporate events, bringing the whole trifecta of healing to the forefront of her work, mind, body, and soul. Her joy is found in helping others eliminate their limitless potential by helping them remember who they are, also known as Mindset with Mads.
Yes.
Awesome.
We want to get her on here for a while now. We've been impressed with some of her breath work, and I actually attended a seminar of hers in Modesto not too far back. And so thanks again for coming, and I'm excited to kind of educate people a little bit on what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. It was an awesome experience, and I'm excited to share more.
Tell us a little bit about how you originally started coaching.
I originally started coaching fitness actually when I was 18 years old. So I have been an athlete my whole life. I played basketball, softball, and volleyball in high school. I played basketball in college. And so I've always had a fitness background, and which eventually led me into coaching. I've always been really passionate about helping other people. And so between my background of athletics and my passion for helping others, it was kind of the obvious no-brainer choice for me to get into coaching.
Mm-hmm. So what inspired you to evolve into teaching mindset as well?
Yeah, you know what? It's really interesting reflecting on this type of question, because I feel like looking back at my life, my physical health and my physical well-being was a focal point of my life throughout childhood up until my early adulthood. And it was actually I moved to Utah 6 years ago, and I started working at Orange Theory Fitness. So I've been with Orange Theory now for 6 years. And I was working at a studio at the time where, back up just a little bit, in my early 20s, one of my bosses in Modesto, actually, he would come into every one of our meetings, and I was working at In Shape Health Clubs at the time as a fitness manager there. And he would walk into our meetings and he'd set his stuff down and he'd look at us and he'd say, 90% of your success in this life will come from relationships. And for whatever reason, when he said that, it really resonated with me. It really hit me. And so when I moved to Utah, there was an experience that really challenged that principle that he taught me with an unhappy customer. And I was the regional fitness manager at the time, running a couple locations. And I had a choice to do right by the business or do right by the customer and cultivate the relationship. And I did everything that I could to cultivate that relationship. And interestingly enough, fast forward 5 years, I was working at a different Orange Theory location. And there was this guy that really, really believed in me. He saw value in me and believed in me in a way that I didn't quite believe in myself yet. And he would tell me, Matt, you're so amazing. You have so much purpose. You have so much potential. I can tell you have so much passion. And so he, around the same time that I knew I needed to be doing something more, I wasn't sure what it was quite yet. He asked me to come to his office. So I came to his office and he said, Mads, you need to be a life coach. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? What does that look like? And so he kind of proceeded to tell me that he does mentorship programs and proceeded to tell me what the tuition costs would typically be for that type of program. And then he said, but Mads, here's the thing. I see so much potential in you and you have so much purpose. You're already doing it. It's time you get paid for it. And I want to take you under my wing. I want to teach you everything that I know and have done for the last 31 years. And I believe in you so much that I want to gift you my life coaching program.
That's awesome.
You have to be doing this, what you're intended to do. And ironically, this guy ended up being the father of the daughter that I had taken care of 5 years previous at Orange Theory Fitness. And so for the next 6 months, I went through his mentorship program. And that's kind of when the idea of Mindset with Mads came to fruition. And it was shortly after that I launched my business and I started taking on one-on-one clients. And I've been doing mindset work, life coaching work, soul work for the last 2 years now. And it's been a very, very beautiful journey.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, that's amazing. And it really does speak to the fact that you can have a profound impact on someone's life. Like he believed in you so much, like you said, even probably more so than you believed in yourself at that time. And it pushed you to like pivot and change direction and start believing in yourself in that way. I think that's like amazing.
Yeah. Sometimes it does take the nudge or the belief from someone else to ignite that fire in you enough to continue to move forward with your dreams and your passions and your goals. It's funny too, because ever since I was young, ever since I was a little girl, I would have people tell me, and I didn't understand what it meant at the time, but ever since I was little, people would be like, Mads, you're going to be a motivational speaker one day. And I would be like, yeah, okay. I didn't even know that was a possibility, but here I am doing it. And it's wild to kind of bring it full circle, but I'm so grateful.
Yeah. No, that's really cool.
So what would you say that your superpower is that sets you apart from other coaches? Like you're saying, they all believe that you would be a motivational speaker, but what is your secret sauce?
Yeah, the secret sauce. This is a good question because it's something that I can confidently say I've owned about myself. I think I was in denial for many years that this was something about me. But as I have gone deeper inward, I have learned what my secret sauce is. And that superpower is my ability to see, witness, and experience and feel the potential in someone else that they don't see or feel or witness or experience for themselves quite yet. So as a life and mindset coach, I get to ignite that fire in someone just enough and then be their guide to assist them to really illuminate their limitless potential by helping them remember who they are.
Yeah.
No, I love that. That definitely is a superpower.
Yes. And what would you say is the most rewarding part about being a coach?
Gosh, there are so many. Sometimes I have to pinch myself to be like, man, this is what I do for work. This is what I do for a living. It's amazing. But I would say the most rewarding thing is witnessing other people's change and transformation, to be a part of that process and see them come in so I work out of my home. My office is downstairs. And when I'm down there with them and they come in day one, whether it be broken or simply looking to continue to evolve or elevate, whatever it is, to watch that process and see where they get to, there's nothing more rewarding than that. Mm-hmm.
And do you ever find, like, obviously if clients are seeking you out and coming to you and wanting, like you said, either to optimize their lifestyle and evolve or like get out of a hard time, do you ever see like a little bit of a hesitation, like them almost getting fearful of the change? And then if you do, like, how do you keep them in it and how do you keep them going?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've witnessed that even in my own life. Sometimes our own potential or sometimes our own path of healing, it can be scary. It can be full of fear at different times because we are feeling for the first time things that maybe we've buried or shoved down for years and years. And when we finally come to the forefront of choosing to heal, because healing is a choice. And when you make that choice, it comes with a lot. And so I've definitely noticed how people that come in, they will sometimes, the thing that they struggle with the most is the belief that they can change, the belief that they can, the commitment to the actual change, and then the consistency in the process. Those would be the three things that initially come to mind. They initially struggle, that that change is possible, but then their commitment to it sometimes is a little bit wavering. But then the consistency, the difference of my clients that are committed to the process, that genuinely, consistently work at that change, they're the ones that witness themselves changing. And those that come in for each week and kind of consider it their recharge of batteries, they're doing great, they're doing awesome. But it's those that are putting in the work that are really evolving, really changing and transforming.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Because I think that's kind of what I've heard from a lot of even people I've talked to, interacted with. It's almost like, gosh, this can feel, it's like so hard. Like it's constant work. Like when does this stop? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it doesn't ever stop. And that's the point of life, to like constantly evolve. So it's just having that talk of like, buckle in, like it's, you know, change that mindset so you're grateful for all the things being brought into your awareness and not like, wow, this is daunting, another thing to go through, you know? But I feel like it takes a long time to have that flip of mindset of like, this is a great thing, it's positive, not like, oh, I have so much stuff to work on.
Yeah, there's principles and things that I teach to help people understand that it is a really patient process. There's a principle called the 21-90 principle. It takes 21 days to create a habit and 90 days to make it a lifestyle change. And if you know anything about neuroplasticity, which is essentially our brain's ability to change over time, if you are committed to that process, you're literally rewiring your brain, giving your life the opportunity for growth, for transformation. And if you stay committed to that process, you will witness yourself changing over time.
Mm-hmm. Love that. And we went to a biohacking conference, I think like last year, right? Mm-hmm. And they, like, someone gave a beautiful example of neuroplasticity, kind of like what you're speaking of. And it's like, they're like, view it like a ski slope, you know, there's certain runs, and it's like, when you want to revamp kind of your neuroplasticity or change those connections that you're making, it's like paving a new slope in the snow. I'm like, I love that. So instead of just going the same route you're used to, you're allowing your brain to see there's other ways to go about it and get to that destination.
And I love that example because I use that. And on top of that, even more than that, if people utilize things like breath work, people utilize things like nervous system health, people utilize so many of the holistic ways of healing that are newer in today's day and age. If they utilize those tools that are readily accessible to them, then not only are they choosing a new pathway to go, but they're getting dumped with 10 new feet of powder where they get to be of their reality. That's what the new neural pathways are, your choice of a new way of living.
For sure. Well, tell us a little bit more about your breath work and how it uniquely helps people with their trauma, because I know you do a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, I've just noticed personally, it's something that I, in the last handful of years of my life, have integrated into my regular practice. And it helps me become more aware of my body. And when we become more aware of our body and go inward, we realize we have more answers than we thought. The answers are in the emotions. And those very emotions are the things that make us feel uncomfortable. And humans don't like to feel uncomfortable. That's why we shy away from it. That's why we numb it. That's why we run from it. All of the fight, flight, freeze, fawn. We try to protect ourselves because of previous information that we've experienced. But when you lean in and you go inward and utilize things like breath, you access states of consciousness. You elevate your awareness. And when you become more aware, things become more clear. You're able to see things from a different set of lens that allows you to perceive life from a real place, from a true place, rather than just the perception based on your past.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Yeah.
And it's that whole concept of like viewing your emotions as a sign, not like a state of being. And it, like this morning, I kid you not, like we were getting ready for school. I was doing the mom thing, making breakfast, and my daughter, I was like, hey dude, we got like 5 minutes, you know? And she was like, she started like hyperventilating almost. And I'm like, okay, let's stop, like take a breath. The only thing to do is to make a plan to get everything done before we run out the door, you know, but I'm like, you getting all frantic is just making you frantic. You know, you're not actually going anywhere. And so that's such a simplistic example, but I think a lot of the times we're living our lives kind of in that way, that, like you said, fight or flight, freeze or fawn. And we're kind of just, we feel stuck, when in reality, if you have tools and modalities, like you're saying, like even breath work, meditation, whatever that is for you, it's like you're able to take a moment and then generate a plan to get to where you want to be, and not just freak out about where you are right now, you know?
Yeah. in your breath, what it's actually doing, it's sending signals to your brain to switch off your sympathetic nervous system, switch on your parasympathetic nervous system, so you can go into states of rest and relaxation and digestion and heal and all of the different things. Of course, from that point, people don't understand the difference of your dorsal vagal response versus your ventral vagal response. Dorsal vagal is where a lot of people exist in the human experience, and that's shame, shutdown, depression, numbness, all of the different byproducts of two different things, and it's buried emotion or perceived threat. Our brain has this really awesome proactive ability called neuroception. It's our brain's ability to detect danger. So if we've ever been in life-threatening, and I do air quotes because that can be so many different things for so many different people, because trauma, people think it has to be a big event. Trauma is anything that happens that is too fast, too soon for your nervous system to regulate or understand or perceive that or process that information. But here's what's cool is when we use things like our breath, it helps us access those states of relaxation. And there's about a 90-second to 2-minute window that if you honor the emotions that you're feeling, what's going to happen is every emotion is energy in motion. It's going to move through you. You're going to perceive the information. You're going to process the memory, the lesson, whatever it may be. But in the process of breathing, it's going to allow you to release the pain, release the suffering that came with it. Because a lot of the times our emotions at baseline, when we feel something, especially when we're like, what is going on here? Life seems pretty good. Well, why am I feeling this way? A lot of the times it's an alarm bell. It's something, your body's way of signaling you that there's information from the past that needs to be acknowledged. And we take that information, and humans are meaning-making machines. We love to make meaning out of everything. So we want to make it about our current reality, when in actuality, that signal, that bell, that whistle that's going off is vying for your attention, looking for you to simply acknowledge something from your past because you're ready to move through it.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Love that. Yeah, no, that's great.
So what advice would you give to anyone who's currently struggling with their life direction or finding purpose?
I would tell them to go inward and be patient. Go inward and be patient. The more you go inward, like I mentioned earlier, you become more self-aware. Self-awareness, to me, has been the epicenter of all things good. If you become more self-aware, it allows you to shine light on the real versus the perceived. And when you become self-aware, it ultimately what unlocks these parts of you that allow you to lean into self-love, to self-acceptance, to self-respect. And most people think, okay, well, I'm really good at loving others, respecting and accepting others, but when it comes to me, I have a hard time with that. But it starts with us. Our ability to actually experience the foundational principles of relationship, which are healthy communication, empathy, forgiveness, all of the things that come with relationships. Your ability to do that and do that well starts with you. When you become more self-aware and you start to truly love yourself, accept yourself, and respect yourself, that's what sets you up to truly love, accept, and respect others in a fruitful and loving way.
No, 100%. Is there anything that you tend to struggle with, and how do you overcome your own excuses?
That's a good question. Of course, I have many things. Some that initially come to mind, I am learning to honor the ebbs and flows of life. I think we, as humans, we have a hard time when things aren't feeling as abundant or successful or full of love or whatever it may be. When things aren't peaking its way up, it must mean that it's down. And so I'm realizing that life just ebbs and flows. And sometimes when we are coming back from that place of abundance, when we are coming back from that place of success, it is because it's a down moment for us to go inward and realize and recognize that we've just leveled up in life. It's going inward, and it's those moments that we are not flowing and we're more in that ebb stage, that you can access parts of yourself that will allow you to uncover things that are no longer aligned with you. You can start to go into places where you realize, wow, this is never mine to begin with. This is not aligned with who I am. You start to discover the truth of who you are. So I am learning to honor those ebbs and flows. And then also I would say, boundaries is a new life lesson for me. And I'm realizing that it's a newer life lesson for a lot of people walking the planet. But for me personally, I'm such a lover. I'm such a giver. I want to help everyone that I can. And sometimes I have a hard time learning where to meet that person and not overgive to where it's at the detriment of my well-being. So those would be the things that I recognize that I personally struggle with, that I am putting a lot of focus on to be better.
No, I love that. And thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm also learning boundaries. So it's not always easy. But you're right. It's just learning on how much you're allowed to give before the other person kind of meets you, and how to protect your energy, protect your space, to still be loving, but also learn to love people at a distance.
Totally. And I would say, though it's something that I've learned and I'm still learning, it's been something that, even though it's a newer principle that I'm understanding at this point in my life, I realize some of the hardship that I've encountered because of it have ultimately taught me the most beautiful lessons. So while it's been a struggle and it's been hard, it has also taught me the most beautiful things about the true essence of being in relationships, and how you can, like you said, Joanne, protect your peace and make sure that you are giving in a way that is also maintaining your well-being in mind, body, and soul.
Totally. And I feel like for me, I totally in the middle of learning that lesson too, but it's like learning what's yours and what's theirs. You know, I feel like I'm that giver as well, that I like to just do it all and do the most, and I want to help, and I'm willing to sacrifice myself for it. And I'm trying to realize, no, this is their lesson to learn. They need to go through their process. I don't need to sacrifice myself in order to help them do that. Like, I need to trust that they're going to be able to find their path, like, on their own. And so, no, I agree. I feel like that's an interesting struggle, right? I mean, it is, but it's like boundaries is a huge deal.
I have to keep in mind that when I set a boundary, it's to help the other person learn how to love me. It's not that I have bad intentions. It's just that I need to love myself. And if you want to be in my space, you have to love me the same way. And that's okay if you don't.
On top of that, when you set that boundary, you teach them to love themselves as well.
Yeah. But I think for me, it's been respecting my boundary, even if the other person doesn't, because I'm that person like you. I'm a giver, like I'm a lover too. I want to, but it's like, no, I need to stand for it too.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting you bring up the ebb and flow concept, because I feel like that's something that's been on my mind. It's like I'm used to go, being super busy. And then when all of a sudden, when there's like a moment where there's no projects pending, or everything's kind of in the works, in control, there's nothing to freak out about, life is good, I'm almost like, what's wrong? You know, it feels like I have that moment of like, wait, what am I not doing that I should be getting into? And it's like me being comfortable with being still, being comfortable with, like you said, recharging, taking that time to myself just quietly, not just being busy. It's like, I feel like some of the closest, I guess, most bonding times, even with my family, is when you have nothing planned, you know? And so it's like welcoming the non-planned time, which is sometimes hard for me, I guess. But what role do you think your sense of self, spirituality, or intuition play in your everyday life? It's kind of a loaded question there.
Yeah, super loaded. Truly, it's what drives my life. Because of what I do for work, there's an element of, or a pressure sometimes that I put on myself of needing to stay on, if you will. What I do is a very vulnerable thing for other people, and in the process, I have to make sure I'm staying on point. And so, when it comes to self, spirituality, my intuition, there are particular practices that I have curated as what I call my non-negotiables that I do every single day to make sure that I am in a place to be what others need me to be. And of course, I'm human. I have human experiences, but I am very much, in fact, I don't know if you can hear it in the background. 95% of my life have like hertz frequencies or meditation music playing in the background. I'm a music girl. In fact, my family used to tease me about bringing my Bluetooth speaker everywhere we were. And place bets as to when I was going to play the most fist pumping type music. But times have changed because as I've gone further inward, life has gotten a little bit more still, a bit more quiet. And to your point, Anna, I am learning to be in those still moments and those quiet moments and embrace them and allow them to teach me good.
And frequency and hertz, I feel like that's so powerful. I think a lot of people don't realize like how, that is energy and your body wants to regulate to that frequency. It's just like, it can be so calming, healing, like depending on the frequency used. And it's something I'm still learning about, but I definitely have felt the power of music in that way.
No, for sure.
Smart.
So how do you currently handle work-life balance?
That is definitely one I'm still working on navigating. Here I get it's like a new level, kind of going back to the ebbs and flows. It's interesting to kind of think about the cycles of growth. Sometimes when we get to that new level, as we level up in life, we hear that term, but what does that term mean? I feel like we continue to level up, but when we reach a new level, we reach a state of unawareness. And when we reach that state of unawareness, what comes after that is curiosity. We get curious about, you need to get curious and you need to begin to explore where you're at, because otherwise you make meaning of the fact that, whoa, why am I in this ebb right now? Why are things so quiet? This feels a little bit eerie here. But if you can get curious and you begin to explore it, that's when you reach those states of awareness. And when you reach states of awareness, that's when you move into grieving stages, self-compassion, grieving things that are no longer aligned with you. And when you move into self-compassion, that's when you move to self-actualization, which then catapults you into this evolution. And so for me personally, this work-life balance is understanding that I continue to level up. And as I level up, it also comes with more workload, more opportunities, more events, whatever it may be. And so I meet myself exactly where I am, which is a state of unawareness. And so I honor that place and I allow myself that grace, love, and compassion and kindness to start that process over, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that mentality. So, I mean, obviously you've done a lot of different things in your life and you're currently helping a lot of people. Like, what is some advice you would give like younger Madelyn?
Oof. If I could sit in front of little Madelyn and have a conversation with her, things would get real deep and real emotional real fast. But I would first and foremost tell her to do not change who you are for others. I spent a lot of years of my life trying to be something that I wasn't. And I realize now that I was ultimately preventing myself from sharing my gifts with the world by slowing down that process and trying to fit a mold and be something that I wasn't. So I would tell younger me or young kids, be true to who you are and love yourself. Accept every part of yourself exactly as you came, because we each have gifts, talents, skills that are unique to each of us. And in order for us to access those parts of the self, we have to be true to who we are. And when we're true to who we are and we're authentically living as ourselves, that's when you access those gifts and then you get to share them with the world, which I believe is what we're intended to do.
Mm-hmm.
No, totally. I love that. Like, that's great.
Oh, it kind of made me teary. Oh my gosh.
Well, and it's just interesting that now your line of work is helping everyone rediscover themselves, like their authentic self, and to see their potential. And I think that's a beautiful thing that I'm sure you felt on some level that you are kind of healing yourself as you're healing that in other people.
Oh, 100%. That's another reason why I love what I do is people don't understand that while I try to stay on in the process of doing that work with others, it so continues to help me understand the beautiful parts of myself and let go of the parts that are no longer aligned, which is a beautiful process.
Yeah. Do you currently have any personal goals that you're working on, whether spiritually, mentally, or physically?
Yeah, I feel awesome about some of the physical goals that I've recently reached. As I continue to get older, I think I assumed that life would plummet and my physical self would go down the drain, but I've been able to physically do a lot of really awesome things. So my focal point as of late has been my spirituality and my mental and emotional health. And with that and work, I'm actually working on right now an 8-week regulation program. So it's centered around regulating your nervous system and regulating your emotions. And ultimately, it's going to be an 8-week deep integrative program for people to daily and weekly projects, if you will, or daily activities that they're doing that help them go inward, help them become more self-aware. And each day and each week, there's going to be ways to regulate their emotions, ways to regulate their nervous system. So on the end of the 8 weeks, they feel completely transformed and changed. And there will be weekly check-ins. I'll be doing a weekly call with them to make sure they're staying on track with their goals and their progress. So that's one that I'm working on. And just very, very recently, actually, this is, I've told you two and about 2 others, so this is hot off the press, but I actually have been entertaining the idea of having a podcast myself. I've so many people have asked me, when are you going to do a podcast? When are you going to do a podcast? And I just barely, for whatever reason, it's starting to resonate in a way that I think I may entertain. So that's new.
How exciting.
Awesome.
Those are really cool projects. Like, that's really, really awesome.
Yes, that's super exciting. So we are also excited to host you on an upcoming event that we'll be having in Modesto, October 21st, our first Tap In Tune Out event that we'll be partnering up with our consciousness coach, Lisette. So we'll have Mindset with Mads and Consciousness Coach. So it's intended to be that inward dive, helping silence that inner critic. And then with Lisette, she'll do a guided meditation to help patients or clients find their spirit guide. So we're really excited for that event and happy to have you join us. How would someone get a hold of you? What are your tags, your website?
This is so funny because in the past, I've literally been on a podcast where I'm pretty sure I gave away my cell phone number. No boundaries. Okay, I have boundaries. I give out my cell phone number. But you can find my website. It's mindsetwithmads.com, all just spelled out as is. And then my Instagram, I do have Facebook. I don't really use it a ton, but my Instagram is mindset.w.mads. You can find me there as well.
Awesome.
And you do post a lot of content. We follow you, and I love seeing all your different messages and stuff you're up to. So if you guys meet her on there, she'll give you some knowledge, little pearls. Mm-hmm. So
been working on it. I love hate relationship with social media.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And I know this was a little bit different for us this episode. We have a little glitches. Maybe we'll
gotta sort out our technology.
But we really appreciate you taking the time to collaborate with us on this podcast. And we're excited to have you for an upcoming event. I'm really excited to, be a part of it and have a personal experience with you. We did a little taste of it prior to this episode that I really liked. So I'm excited to know what else breathwork can do and how to silence my inner critic, which I feel like you have a great way of doing.
On here, what you guys do, I love what you share with others. Continue to shine bright and share it with the world. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Awaken Your Ego, a podcast that explores biohacking and self-discovery. We hope you follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay up to date on what we're working on in your area.